Medication time. Welcome to It's Always Sunny in Oregon. Today we got a real classic for you. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. My name is Patty.
My name is Lugia, and did you know that Oregon is one of two states in the United States of America where you cannot pump your own gas?
That's not
You
true
don't even
anymore.
you don't even pump your own gas in Oregon anymore. They recently
It's only
changed
New
it.
Jersey.
Wait, when did they change
They
that?
they not that long ago, like very recent change.
Okay.
Like, not that I've been to Oregon ever in my life.
When we started the podcast, it was true, but it's not true anymore.
Are you gonna
Hello, and
introduce
I'm
yourself?
Red. Yeah, I'm
Right, who
Red.
are you?
Yeah, I'm Red.
Who the fuck is this
Yeah.
guy? Before we fly over this cuckoo's nest, let's acknowledge for a minute. We are recording this on September 14th, and yesterday, the 13th, marked 40 years since the original Super Mario Bros. Released on the NES. And in celebration of that, there was a Nintendo Direct held on Friday. It was a general presentation, not necessarily Mario specific, but we did get a whole bunch of Mario news. So is Mario's 40th an improvement from the 31st? I mean, the 35th? Honestly, it's debatable, but before we get to that, let's give a general rundown of what was revealed. A lot of Mario Galaxy stuff, so if you're a fan of Mario Galaxy, must have been like Christmas for you. Because it was announced that the upcoming Mario movie sequel is primarily based on Galaxy. That's pretty neat. Galaxy 2 is also coming to Switch, so cool. Along with Galaxy 1, which we already got, so fine.
Well, it's nice that
There's some
Nintendo's actually acknowledging Galaxy 2, because remember when 3D
yeah,
All-Stars came out? It was just Galaxy 1.
yeah, but we'll get to that. There's also some Galaxy Amiibo coming next spring. Other than Galaxy, the only other things we got were a brand new Mario Tennis game and a new Yoshi game. And I will say, at least none of these seem to be run limited. They seem to be releasing and staying released, not going back into the vault on, March 31st next year. So
Yeah.
I'll be
No,
honest.
since the movies Galaxy, I think they actually want the kids to, I think they're hoping that it's going to be a big advertising push to play the old Galaxy stuff.
They seem to be doing a similar tactic to what Sega did in 2024 with like all the shadow stuff in preparation for the third movie.
Yeah.
I'll be honest though, nothing here really excites me. Like, I mean, cool that like Galaxy 2 is coming to Switch, but let's talk the price point. You can get Galaxy 1 and 2 in a bundle for $70. Two games in a collection when 5 years ago 3D All-Stars was 3 games for 60. You're paying $10 more for less.
I'm not surprised by this point. Nintendo's already making their games and their consoles pretty fucking expensive.
There is an alternative. You can get, if you don't want to buy Galaxy 1 on Switch again, you can get it, Galaxy 2 by itself on the eShop for 40. Or you could buy a Wii copy of Galaxy 2 for 20.
If you still have a Wii or a Wii U, that
You,
is.
you, prob- you probably still have a Wii. This is all neat, but again, like nothing that I'm like, holy shit. What
Now, if
about
they
you
were
guys?
announcing they were making a Galaxy 3, that would be worth celebrating. As it stands, again, it's cool that Nintendo's acknowledging Galaxy 2 after years of neglect, but at the same time, it's not anything that's, like, surprising.
I think it'd be really funny if the movie had the same ending as the game, just because it ended with the death of the universe. The death and rebirth of spoilers for Super Mario Galaxy, but the game ends with the death and rebirth of the universe.
Question for you guys. Have you played Galaxy 2?
No, I've only played Galaxy 1.
No,
I
yeah, I've only played the
sampled
first one.
Galaxy 2, like I rented it, but I only played like the first world.
I hear it's good. Like, if you like Galaxy 1, you'll love Galaxy 2.
My coworker thinks Galaxy 2. A lot of people I know who play Galaxy 2 thinks it's better, at least like from a level design aspect.
I
That
will
would be
say
fun.
aside from Galaxy, I was intrigued by the new Yoshi game. It seems to be going for that similar Mario Wonder art style. I guess this is like what they're doing with Mario games from now on. Like I'm cool with it.
I
Yeah.
mean, we got Bonanza,
I
which
mean,
is based off
I
of
always
Odyssey.
liked.
Oh shit, I forgot. Mario Wonder is also getting ported to Switch. Whatever. The only thing they highlighted was new multiplayer stuff. Okay?
Mario Wonder wasn't on Switch.
I mean Switch 2. Bleh.
Can't you play Switch 1 games on the Switch 2?
Yes, but this is specifically a Switch 2 version.
That seems so
Lame? Yeah.
pointless. I'm not gonna say lame. It seems very, I don't know,
Well, the
pointless.
only thing they highlighted that's new is some new multiplayer modes and the Koopalings are returning.
Were
New?
there complaints about Wonder's performance on original Switch hardware?
I don't think
So
so.
the only thing that this version's offering is the multiplayer.
At least so far.
Okay,
They may they
that's a
may
little
reveal
weird.
more.
Because the
They
point
may
of Breath
reveal
of the
more.
Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 2 was the performance enhancements. But Wonder the I mean, if you're interested in the multiplayer, sure. I mean, I guess there's a novelty playing a 2D Mario with friends, but having a dedicated version for that instead of just updating what's already there is weird.
But that's all the Mario stuff basically. There was other stuff in the direct, nothing that really interested me personally,
What do you
but
mean you don't like Danganronpa?
They made a Pokemon game that's basically Animal Crossing.
oh yeah, I did see that.
Patty, you've never played Pokemon, have you?
I've played Pokemon. I've played one of the games on the GBA. I don't remember which one though.
I mean, there's only like two options. So, did you play the one with all the water, or did you play the one with like Pikachu and Charizard and shit?
It was probably the one with the water.
Okay, yeah, you
'Cause
played the Holland
I don't
games.
I don't I don't remember Pikachu in the one I played.
Okay, you probably played the Holland ones.
Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald.
I think it was Emerald. I'm like
Oh
90% sure it
yeah,
was Emerald.
yeah, they had colored cartridges back then, was it? I mean, technically, yeah. So, what color was the cartridge?
It was green.
Okay, then yeah, that was probably Emerald, unless you somehow got a Japanese version of Leaf Green, which I highly doubt.
I highly doubt that. Though then again,
Actually, wait, no, no,
the label
Leaf
on my
Green was.
cartridge was kind of ripped, so who knows?
Oh wait, that's a bad example. Leaf Green was. Sorry, I was thinking.
Do you
Because
remember what your starter Pokemon was?
Pico.
Yeah, what was your? It was who?
Trico?
Pico.
Yeah, then it was Emerald.
I had Sapphire as a kid, and I had Mudkip, which is still probably my favorite Pokemon to this day. What else was there? Samus got a bike.
I didn't look at the new Prime 4 trailer. I did see the bike, and I've heard people complain that it looks like ass.
I've only heard people mention that she has a bike now. I haven't even. That's
Not
legitimately
only
the only thing I've heard.
no
She has a
guys,
bike
not only
now.
does she have a bike, she has a release date, December 4th.
It is nice, though. After years of torment waiting for this fucking game to come out, and it being restarted from scratch because Nintendo wasn't happy with it. I just hope it can deliver.
Another thing I want to mention is so they're bringing Virtual Boy games to the online library, which I'm surprised that one they didn't do this for the 3DS, but also that they're even acknowledging the Virtual Boy at all.
Don't you need like a Virtual Boy peripheral to even like play the
I think
games?
that's I think that's just like an accessory.
Okay,
Actually,
because if you can play the games by themselves, that's fine. People love that one Wario game for the Virtual Boy, but there's a reason why nobody liked the Virtual Boy.
actually, funny story. So the morning of the Nintendo Direct, I had work, so I only caught the Mario stuff before I had the clock on. Like when I had downtime, I did go back to the Direct just to see like what I missed. So imagine like my confusion when the first time I go back, the first thing I see is a Virtual Boy, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Are they re-releasing a classic edition for giggles? No, it's just online stuff. Though I am disappointed at the lack of Waterworld the video game in the lineup.
It's a licensed game. What can you do?
I'm just talking shit. I don't know anything about the Waterworld video game. I just know it's the one licensed game for the Virtual Boy.
One out of what, 14 games? Isn't that the
Something like
entire
that.
library?
Yeah. I don't know. I've never seen it in action, but something tells me it's probably not very good.
I think that's it
Any other
though.
standouts from that's it?
Yeah.
Nothing else about the direct?
I can't think of anything.
Unless you really like Fire Emblem.
I like Fire Emblem.
All right. So One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is based on the 1962 novel of the same name by Ken Kesey. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And it was directed by Milos Foreman, director of movies like Ragtime, Man on the Moon, and Amadeus. And looking into the production history of this film, it is quite fascinating. It's basically the story of failure, determination, fate. But I'm not gonna. I'll give you the basic rundown. But basically, it took 13 years for this movie to get made because not long after the book was published, actor Kirk Douglas bought the rights to adapt it, and he first made it into a Broadway play, which premiered in 1963, with him playing the role of Randall. But it was not successful, only closing after only 2 months. But Kirk had bigger plans. He wanted to turn it into a movie with, again, himself playing Randall. However, despite him being at the height of his stardom, no studio was willing to finance the film, and he tried and tried, but still nothing. Eventually, he was like, all right, I'm going to give the rights over to my son, Michael Douglas. And Michael, despite a few rough starts, he was able to get a film adaptation off the ground, though he didn't want his father to reprise the role of Randall because he was in his early 60s at the time, and they wanted somebody younger to play the part. And this actually caused a strain in their relationship for many years. Several actors were considered for the role of Randall, including Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, James Caan, and Burt Reynolds. Eventually, it was given to Jack Nicholson, though at the time he was busy with filming the movie The Fortune, so they had to delay filming to allow him to take care of that. Though this was kind of a blessing in disguise because it gave them time to work out the supporting cast. They got Danny DeVito to play the role of Martini, which he was actually reprising because he played that part in an off-Broadway production a few years prior. And Will Sampson, who played the role of Chief, he was actually recommended to the producers by, of all people, a used car salesman. They were kind of looking around like we need this big Indian guy, and they met him, and he said, "Biggest guy just walked into my place a few years ago." Not a few years ago, like a few days ago. And they spent like a year trying to track him down. I don't know, that was kind of funny. Also, the role of Nurse Ratched was originally given to Lily Tomlin, but Milos Foreman requested that she be swapped out with Louis Fletcher, who at the time was in the movie Nashville, which was set to start filming. So the two of them basically swapped roles. Fletcher got Tomlin's role, and Tomlin got Fletcher's role. And what I find fascinating about this is that at the Oscars, they both competed in the same category for Best Supporting Actress. Fletcher winning, but we'll get to that later. The film was shot on location in the Oregon State Hospital, and many of the hospital's patients were actually put on the film's crew per the hospital director's request. And in an interview, Michael Douglas would say that, in retrospect, it was kind of insane that we let some of these people work on the movie. He particularly highlighted that one of the patients who was put to work in the art department was put in the institution for arson.
What, really?
Yeah. And one last bit of fun fact is actually regarding Milos Forman. So when Kirk Douglas was originally trying to get this movie off the ground, he wanted Milos Forman to direct it. He was his first choice because the two of them met on a Goodwill tour, and they kind of hit up a conversation, and he said, "Hey, I'm trying to make this movie based on this book that I think you'd like. I'll send you a copy," because at the time Milos Forman was living in the Czech Republic. The book never arrived, and Milos was like, "Son of a bitch." But then years later, the book did arrive because Michael Douglas sent him a copy because he decided, Milos Forman, let's get that guy. Like father, like son, I guess. And the reason the book didn't arrive the first time was because of world conflict, because there was, Czechoslovakia was under, like, a war pact invasion, and the book has heavy themes of, like, anti-authoritarianism. So, like, it was confiscated because they didn't want him to read it. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was released in November 1975 to critical acclaim, and against a budget of $4 million, it made $163 million, making it the second highest grossing film of 1975. And when it comes to accolades, this is one of only 3 films to win what is known as the Big Five, being Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Screenplay. And if
What are
you're
the other
curious,
ones you wanna?
yeah, the other 2 films are It Happened One Night and The Silence of the Lambs.
It's kind of interesting that like it's two genres that don't usually win. It's like all genres that don't usually win stuff. That's kind of funny
Have you
because
seen It
those are
Happened One
horror.
Night?
Yeah, that's like a rom com.
I've only seen Silence
Huh.
of the Lambs, and very recently at that.
And Silence of the Lambs is a horror movie.
Not so much horror, more thriller.
It was advertised as a horror movie. It was considered a horror movie like on the time of release, and like I remember when it won all those awards, like all the news was like, "Oh, the first horror movie to win an Oscar." I think William
Because
Friedkin was like, "Fuck you, motherfuckers! It should have been me," because
that's
The
pretty cool
Exorcist
that
was
a
nominated
movie
for
in a
stuff.
genre that doesn't really get much Oscar love has this distinct achievement. But we're not talking Silence of the Lambs, we're talking One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What is this film about? What's this Cuckoo's Nest deal? Well, it is about a guy named Randie McMurphy who is basically a delinquent, a menace to society. He has a history of assault, and most recently he was put in jail due to statutory rape. But during his time in jail, he fakes having mental issues so that he doesn't have to do any work. So he's transferred over to a mental institution, which is overrun by Nurse Ratchet. And while his time there, he gets to know the inmates and, go against the man. Nurse Ratchet in this case.
Okay, so I've seen this movie before. Obviously, like everyone like talks about how great like Nurse Ratchet's performance is, but one of the things that I always just liked about this movie from like a writing perspective was and I mentioned this a few weeks back when we talked about Clockwork Orange, but I kind of like it when movies like will criticize a system. In this case, the mental institution, industry that was still alive at this point, and both when the book took place and when this movie took place, it was especially like bad. And I like how they criticize it through a character who's a pretty, contemptible human being. Obviously he did like some pretty bad shit and he kind of deserves to be in jail, but throughout it all you still feel like, he doesn't deserve this, which I think, makes for a more powerful, critique. Like I'll be honest, this movie is incredibly similar to The Shawshank Redemption to me, like in broad strokes, just because like it's effectively a hangout movie in this like institution, and we got this one like kind of authoritarian that kind of except obviously a much more depressing ending. Shawshank Redemption is more hopeful, but again, I've always thought like some of the criticisms of prison in Shawshank Redemption feels a bit hollow because they're innocent. But yeah, I think it's very effective here.
Speaking of effective, I think what sold me on this film was the cast of characters within the mental ward. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
they all have their unique quirks that, like, at first glance, you're like, God, these people are crazy, but you kind of grow to like them as sort of like a found family for Randie. And then by the end, where they're throwing the party in the ward, it's just a lot of fun. And you really do want to see these guys succeed and get out. But that ending,
Yeah, it's
though,
really funny. Yeah, it's really funny to me that Lily Tomlin like left the movie for the Nashville, because this
Nashville.
movie this movie feels like an Robert Altman movie to me, like in a lot of ways, which I thought was kind of interesting, because like a
Is
lot
it
of Altman's movies are also just about like a bunch of large cast of characters kind of hanging out and stuff. And this movie kind of has a similar quality. Like he made MASH. You guys know the TV show MASH?
yeah.
Yeah,
That was
of course.
Robert Altman, which is like just a bunch of guys in the military hanging out.
I think my favorite scene is when we first meet all of the mental ward patients and their Nurse Ratchet's having them discuss their conflicts. And you kind of get a glimpse of all their personalities, and like the camera shots of their reactions and the way they work off each other. I love that scene.
I actually really like the fishing scene where they're taking the boat out onto the
Mm,
water. I think that wasn't even meant to be in the film to begin with. I think they wanted that removed.
really?
Yeah. I'm just surprised they brought the boat back though. You'd think they could use it as a way to escape, but no, like Randie kept true to his word. He's like, I'm only gonna borrow it for fishing. Don't mind me.
I'd also put this movie in the illustrious list of films that's after I watched this movie, a bunch of jokes from The Simpsons made sense that didn't used to.
Were there any
That's the end of my
specific
statement.
characters that you were fond of?
I really liked Christopher Lloyd's character, Tabor.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd's character is probably my favorite too.
It was so shocking to me to see Christopher Lloyd there because I've never seen him without white hair. Like I had to do a double take. I'm like, is that Christopher Lloyd? What the fuck? He looks so young.
Actually, does make sense considering his two like most famous roles are like kind of eccentric, crazy people.
Yeah,
So
I get
it
that,
makes
but
sense.
still.
It makes sense that like his first movie he would play a character who was like had a few screws loose.
Obviously Chief. I really like Chief. Like he's allegedly like deaf, but as you come to learn, that's all bullshit. That's just a facade.
He just doesn't want to interact with anybody.
But the reason why he like reveals his secret to Randy is because like he was actually like kind of nice to him. So it was cool seeing that relationship develop, and then by the end, it's a little heartbreaking. Not gonna lie. Actually, should we get into that? The ending.
Yeah,
The party scene I thought was a lot of fun. What's the guy doing his job? The guard,
I don't remember his name, but
Mister
I know who you're talking about.
Turkle. I think that's his name, Mister
I think
Turkle.
I think so.
Guy wants to just get let loose. He's probably had enough of ratchet shit as well. But then things don't go to plan. Everyone passes out. They wake up in the morning. One of the ward patients dies, and Randie tries to strangle Nurse Ratchet. But then after that, he gets lobotomized, and he's basically comatose. So Chief is like, "Listen, I could escape I want to escape with you, but I can't have you like this. So he just suffocates him with a pillow instead, just to give him like some semblance of peace.
And he busts out, throwing the thing from the washroom the same way that Randall requested they do earlier.
I don't know, it's a very performance-driven movie. I mean, I guess we haven't talked about Ratchet that much. I do definitely think she's kind of like the highlight of the movie. Also, crazy how stacked this cast is. Like, Jesus, like we mentioned Christopher Lloyd, but Danny DeVito's in this movie.
I didn't
Brad
even
Dourif is in
recognize
this
Danny
movie.
DeVito.
Yeah, this is like him before Taxi.
This is him
Scatman
before
Crothers.
anything. This was his first movie.
I think this is Christopher Lloyd's first movie too, right? Or at least one of
Mhm.
his first. What about Brad
Actually,
Dourif? Is that
in
his
my
first?
research, I learned that Christopher Lloyd and Danny DeVito are actually close friends. I did not know that.
Yeah, they were both on Taxi together. They were on the same sitcom for years. Them and Andy Kaufman. That's how like a lot of them got their starts. Do you know who Christopher Lloyd played in Taxi? He played a guy called Jim. But what's really funny is that if you watch it, and okay, have any of you guys seen Seinfeld?
I've caught a
Few
few
episodes.
episodes.
He's just Kramer. He's basically like his character is like almost exactly the same as Kramer, and I was like, oh my, so similar to Kramer. Like it threw me off. But yeah, Nurse Ratchet. Fantastic character. I think this is like one of my favorite villains because have you guys seen like the fifth Harry Potter movie?
No.
The one with all right.
No, I've only seen the first one.
Well, see, there's this character in here where she's kind of like this petty authoritarian. She's almost like popular villain of the series because she feels like very like true to life. Like she's like a teacher, you know, you've had that's like was just an asshole. I feel like Nurse Ratchet falls into like a similar category where she's like a very petty, you know, passive aggressive tyrant. And like I feel like, you know, I've met, you know, people with this like in these like sort of small positions of authority that are also kind of like these, you know, assholes that kind of like, you know, use it to sort of, you know, lord their you know, power over people.
What's interesting about Nurse Ratchet to me was her dedication to her authority. Because the reason why Randy is in the psych ward to begin with was because he's just acting aloof, acting crazy, and they want to get him evaluated. He's not there to stay. Most of the other people there were voluntary. He was committed until they decided, no, you're not crazy. You're going back into the prison farm. And most of the staff agree, yeah, he's not crazy. We should take him back. He's causing a mess. But Nurse Ratchet, of all people, says, no, we're gonna have him stay because I'm going to fix him. And that was like truly evil. Like, good lord.
It's like I'm not giving up.
That's honestly kind of like the scary part. Like there was almost like an altruistic streak like behind it. I was like, oh Jesus.
And then later in the movie, when Billy kills himself, she's like, "Everybody, just go back to your daily routine." That's the moment when Randall snaps at her. That's when he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Someone's dead, and you're not even gonna do anything."
I don't even know what she could do, like hypothetically, but yeah.
Like she wasn't sympathetic, is the point I'm getting at.
I know. You know, I feel like I would have more to talk about just because like I do think like this movie is like deserving of its accolades. It's a very fun hangout movie, which I guess is like not something you kind of expect. Like it's oddly like cozy, you know, up until kind of the
That's like
it
20
slowly
Very
minutes.
ratchets up. You know, up until it kind of ratchets up at the end. No pun intended.
Actually, I have one
Um,
question before you
Yeah.
wrap up. What exactly is the meaning of the title?
Because it's a mental institution, everybody in there's, a little cuckoo, but he's
Right.
not. He's faking it, so he's kind of like
Yeah, and he's kind of like
an
observing it
outsider
from a
looking
bird's eye
in.
point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, back then they used to have a lot of very poetic sort of titles. I mean, yeah, they still have some poetic titles sometimes, but like, like every Aldous like Huxley thing is like Brave New World or No Country for Old Men. You know, sometimes they just have.
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, to go back to that
yeah.
Clockwork Orange.
Unfortunately, this is also another one of those classic movies I just don't really have much to say about. I really wish I did, but like it's solid. It's like it's great, but I just don't have a whole bunch interesting to say.
Actually, here's a question: have you guys seen any of Milos Forman's other movies?
Other than Hair, no.
Right, we did talk about Hair before. Okay. Have you seen? Okay, so no one's seen Amadeus. If you like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I'd recommend Amadeus. Amadeus is a much more propulsive movie. I think it's amazing. I think it's actually one of his best. But
You think it's better than this?
oh yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah, that movie is like it's kind of like the ultimate kind of rivalry movie. There's kind of like I want to say like there's a similar dynamic, but like if you kind of liked the Nurse Ratchet sort of the little cat and mouse they had, you'd probably like Amadeus because Amadeus is definitely it's basically about like the biggest hater in the world.
The
This
movie
is
that I was reminded of was actually a documentary called Crip Camp. You guys ever heard of that one?
No.
no, but that
Red
sounds interesting.
Okay, I actually watched it in college for a class. It's a very fascinating documentary about this summer camp with for people with disabilities. I know the situation isn't apples to oranges, but it's a very fascinating watch. I recommend it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like any movies about like sort of like petty authoritarianism.
Holes? Does that count?
You know what? Yeah, that does kind of count. Again, they're all prison movies, which is very funny. Like all we're thinking of is like prison stuff. People getting sent to camps. I don't know. Schindler's List, low key.
Anything else we want to say about Cuckoo's Nest?
No, it was really good. Pleasant surprise. Not much more to
Surprise.
say though. Yeah, because I haven't seen this before.
Oh, okay.
I never saw it either first time, but yeah, no, I really liked it. Again, I'm a bit disappointed I don't have more to say about it, but I definitely wholeheartedly recommend it. Red, I do believe it's your turn now to choose the next movie.
Yes, rare chance where I actually kind of had low-key have no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do an anime OVA, but here's the thing, is both anime OVAs I want to talk about, they kind of have to be paired with something else. So I guess here's the question. Well, actually, here's the thing. So, my idea was the Pat Labor OVA, which is a 6-episode OVA, very short. It's just roughly 2 hours, like a movie. The thing is, though, is that Pat Labor has two movies from the guy who made the show, and they're incredibly different. So one of them is just an extension of the show. It's just like what if the show was like an action movie, and the other is like much more in line with the director's other work. This director's Mamoru Oshii. We've talked about him before. So the second Pat Labor movie feels more of like a Ghost in the Shell prequel. I just got an idea. I'll save that for something else. Okay, Pat Labor OVA, and if you want the first movie, although that's not really necessary, that's what I'm thinking.
Never heard of this, though then again, I don't really watch anime, so
Yeah, so I figured, we talked about Ghost in the Shell before. Have we talked about Angel Egg?
No.
no.
Okay, so we've only talked about Ghost in the Shell, but okay. Mamoru Oshii is mostly known for his Ghost in the Shell type work, his very serious sort of thing. But what a lot of people don't know about him is that he got to start in comedy. He directed this sitcom, which is very similar to like Alf. It's called Urusei Yatsura, where like this alien girl, lives on Earth. And after that, and the transition point of his career was the Pat Labor series because that was a comedy, but it slowly turned into an action series until like the final entry of the series is just straight up in the same space as Ghost in the Shell. We're not going to be talking about the serious part. We're only going to be talking about the funny stuff. But yeah, I figured that'd be interesting. And then maybe a few years down the line, we can talk about Pat Labor 2 and Ghost in the Shell 2. For this week, it's just the Pat
Alright.
Labor OVA and the Pat Labor movie. Although I'll be honest, you don't really have to watch the movie if you don't want to. So
I'll try to fit the time to watch it.
I'll likely try to give it a look. Alright, so at labor next time, heading back into anime. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, I'm tired.